Hi everyone, this is Thalia and Miana, and we'll be talking about demographics in anime. And I will let Miana explain the whole thing because I have no idea how to start about this.
Uh, so basically, we talked a couple of weeks back that we would like to discuss what kind of demographics we watch the most. Like if we watch more shonen, more shoujo, and if you're wondering, demographics is like the audience that a series is aimed at. So, for instance, kids is a demographic, and you have like Doraemon and other shows of that type. So, with that in mind, Thalia, what kind of genre demographic do you watch the most?
I don't know, like for genre, it's always comedy. Everything with comedy I watch, but I still watch kids shows as well. I mean, I still watch Pokemon and stuff. So, I don't really like the fact that I'm a girl. I don't really adjust my anime to that. So, I mean, I would watch Yuri. I would watch Yaoi. I mean, I would watch all of that stuff or like action and like sports and all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
what about
it's
you?
I think it's interesting that you touched on Yuri and Yaoi while we are talking about that because even though those are genres, not demographics, though that is a very weird argument to make anyway. Because, for instance, shonen and shoujo are generally considered demographics, and people
Mm,
get really intense when someone calls that a genre. But if you look up what genre means, it's basically a class of things or series or whatever that stick to certain like patterns and stylistic approaches. So even though originally when you said shonen, you mean that you're making a series for young boys,
mm,
nowadays if you see like Naruto and Bleach and all of that, you can see that even though they're aiming that at young boys, they also have like this way of communicating this language. They have the typical main character, all of those things. So it sort of became a genre
yeah.
at some point. And I think Yuri and Yaoi are usually genres, but they're aimed at certain demographics.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Yuri is more aimed at guys,
Yeah.
and Yaoi is more aimed at girls. And that is really weird to me how you don't get like the gray patterns in between that for those
Yeah.
genres.
I guess it depends like what kind of person you are. Like I don't mind watching all that stuff. I mean, I give all of it a chance. If I like it, I like it, and if I don't, well, I probably won't watch more of it. But like I,
Yeah.
I like shonen a lot. I like shonen more than shoujo. So yeah, that's me.
I'd say generally I like more shonen than shoujo,
Mm.
but like the extremes of both annoy me. Like if you watch something that's super cliche shoujo, unless I'm really into that one at that point, it's not something that I usually watch because it
Mm-hmm.
starts being repetitive. And the same with like the extreme shonen that just keeps going on and on and on
Yeah.
with it like that. But if you go to like our staple discussion about Full Metal Alchemist, which can be considered a shonen, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very well balanced one. So
Yeah, a lot of people call that one a shonen. There's even people who call like Death Note a shonen. So I mean, it's very I don't know. You can have a lot of discussions about that for like shonen and shoujo and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
That's why I normally ignore it to put it in a genre, like to say that shonen is a genre because there's too many discussions around it. Like, what is it
yeah.
exactly, and what kind of series are shonen, and like you can base it off my anime list because they're not always right either about that kind of stuff.
Oh, of course.
So, yeah, I don't
Like
know.
people make the boxes. We're the ones that decide like this is that kind of thing. And it's just I think it's not that clear for most people and most of the times.
Yeah.
Does it usually bother you that genres and demographics are something that's very rigid in the community? Like that that people think shonen or used to think, not anymore, but people are like girls don't watch shonen and guys don't watch shoujo.
I don't mind about that. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's open for everyone. I don't think it's to a strict like audience for me. I mean, in shonen, like nowadays, there are plenty of female characters that, like, give you an example as well. Except for like you have the main character who is most of the times a guy, but there's always like female characters in there as well. So it's like I think it's for girls and guys. I don't like
Yeah.
it's the same in shoujo. There's like male characters that are badass in there as well. I mean, it can happen. So I'm not gonna say in all of them, but like
Oh
you
yeah, of
have some
course.
occasions where that happens.
It always boils down to if the characters are good or not.
Yeah.
Because if you see, for instance, one of the differences for me between Kuroko no Basket and Haikyuu is that even though both are very in the shonen region of
Mm-hmm.
sports and they're very like male oriented, in Kuroko no Basket you have a lot of most of the girls have a big personality, and in Haikyuu you have the manager that's just literally there.
Yeah, that's true. That kind of annoyed me sometimes.
Yeah,
That's why I like Kuroko more as well. They focus on like all the characters and not only the basketball players. And Haikyuu is only like the volleyball players and the coach and all that stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
I like
I
both.
agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just different. You can't really compare them to each other, although it's the same studio and all that stuff.
Do you think there's any like useful thing about demographics? Like it's the same as having movies with age ratings. For
Oh,
instance, under 16, above 16, that kind of thing.
yeah. I think there have to be like age ratings. I mean, if it's over the top, there have to be like age ratings. I think so. Like for me, like someone who can't really take like blood and all and gore and all that stuff, mostly for me when it says like 18 and up, then I'll be like, nope, that's not for me. Because I probably can't handle that because then you kind of know what kind of level it will be. And when it's like, well, under 18, you know it's going to be censored most of the time. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
think that comes in handy and I think we need that especially for people who are like sensitive and watching stuff.
yeah. I can see where you're coming from. And also like for me right now it doesn't really matter much because I can watch most of the things.
Hmm.
But I started watching anime like regularly apart from like childhood stuff when I
Yeah.
was what, 13, 14. So like back then, knowing what I was getting into was very important because my knowledge wasn't that big.
Yeah.
So I remember that I had one time in which I read the synopsis on my anime list, and they didn't have an age rating for a show. And the synopsis seemed pretty interesting, and the genres were like psychological and stuff. And I
Mm.
was like, fine. And then I had a friend that was like, they didn't get the rating, but the rating is hentai for that series. And I was like, what? So I got it off
Okay.
my list. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, the rating is important for me right now because I still can't differentiate that well. And I
Hmm.
mean, seriously, there was nothing in that synopsis that even hinted at hentai or the
Yeah.
pictures or anything. Because
That's
most
what
of
you
the times
have.
you look at like the picture and you go like, yeah, that's hentai.
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes, or like hentai or ecchi, like you really don't know. It's the same with
Yeah.
like gore and blood stuff. They never really show it in the picture, like how bad it will be. So you never
Yeah.
know, like how bad it could be in the series. So,
Yeah. The trailers usually are more useful for that kind of series
hmm,
because they want to show that they're going for that kind of audience that enjoys like the blood splatters and stuff.
yeah.
But then it's very disappointing if then they censor it afterwards.
Yeah. What, Tokyo Ghoul?
Yep.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean,
God.
we've had that before at Pupa and stuff as well. Like, I don't watch
Yeah.
this stuff, but I always know it from you guys and like Twitter and all that stuff because people keep complaining about it, about the whole censor thing and like
Yeah.
how it is not like the manga and all that stuff.
I mean, I get it depending on the time slot that it airs in because we are thinking about demographics from an outsider point of view,
Hmm.
obviously. But if you're in Japan and that just happens to be on TV, it's very important to like have certain time slots that kids are still up in,
Hmm.
for instance, that they don't just zap around with and play around with the remote and then see like all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think for that reason, demographics are more important. Like for us, they're merely an orientation, I suppose. Like for us as a community, a
Mm-hmm.
YouTube community, it's more
Yeah.
like for us to communicate and say, oh yeah, this is part of that demographic, so you can expect these things.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the whole genre thing. Like,
Yeah,
you have like comedy and romance, which is like wide. You can go far in that. But if it's like gore or like thriller or horror or something like that, you know what you're gonna get most of the times. Like,
yeah.
comedy and romance are just like the main genres, I guess, that are in
Yeah,
the
they're very
series.
like they're not restrictive at all. You
Yeah.
can get nearly every series and find something that is comedy or romance in
Yeah,
them.
or slice of life or like, yeah,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's more or less like ultimately genres and demographics for us serve more or less for the same purpose,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're different and their definition is different. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but because people are really angry when people mix up like genres and demographics.
Mm.
And I know the difference. I just feel like for me, they serve the same purpose when I search a series,
Yeah.
basically. I'm always going to see if it's a shonen, even though it says action and etc.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
it can be action like just a battle manga or a battle anime, or it can be action as in Evangelion.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of actions. Like, you have Durara as well. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a whole completely
it's
different
completely
action.
different.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have the same thing. I'm always happy that there's more than one genre selected, because then you
Yeah,
know more
that as
and
well.
more what to expect. And it really helps you. For
Yeah.
people to just to choose a series. Like, if you're looking for one, it's just more interesting to look at that.
I think demographics also help narrow it down a little because you have those series that have genres like eight genres or something, and you go like sci-fi, fantasy, mecha, romance,
Yeah.
action, psychological, and you go like, what feeling am I going to get from all of that? So
Mm-hmm.
then it's like if you see it's a kid show, it's probably a parody of all those genres. If you see it's a shonen, it's probably like action, some kind of action in space. If you see it's seinen or josei, which we didn't mention yet, but it's the older version of shonen and shoujo,
Mm.
you can understand that probably there's going to be a lot more deep and controversial subjects about it. For instance, in romance, shoujo is remarkably different from josei, the way that it's approached.
Oh, yeah.
Shoujo is like the bubbly high school
Yeah.
or
It's so
middle
like
school
happy and then like
delusion.
feels and all that stuff, but like too
Yeah,
much. But that's what people want. Like, most people who watch Sojo want that. You know you're gonna get that when you watch
yeah,
it. So in Shonen, it's more like, I like you. And then 10 episodes further, it's like, I like you too. It's like, it goes very slow and there's not too much attention to the romance, but it's more about like the main story for
yeah,
Shonen. Yeah.
yeah. And Jose, for instance, it's usually a lot more realistic in terms of relationships, and it has more drama. I mean, drama that's not just people getting angry in high school.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much like the things that I've thought about. No,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you like what kind of demographics would you like there to like not be split or
How do you mean? I don't, I don't get it.
like do you think for instance wait I have a point I'm going to get there. Sorry guys, I just taught a 2 hour class. So. Yeah, I mean basically do you think the whole female versus male perspective on anime is worth splitting since nowadays obviously most of us watch both shoujo and shonen.
I don't know. I don't think you have to split it. I mean, because otherwise you can just put a genre on it, girly or boyish. I mean, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous. Why would you do that? I mean, you should be open to watch everything. And
yeah,
like, it's the same, like, if boys watch romance, they shouldn't feel bad for watching a romance because a lot of girls watch it. And like, it's the same for girls when we watch, like, I don't know, like shonen, for example, because a lot of boys still watch that. I mean, you
Yeah,
shouldn't feel bad for like loving the series or something. I mean, it's normal. If you like it, that's all right. So yeah.
yeah. I think basically it depends on the knowledge you have on anime when you narrow it down. Because for us, like we already know like most of how those genres work and
Mm.
those demographics work. I think if you're new to the medium, knowing if something is, as you put it, like more casually girly or boyish, is important because a lot of people have misconceptions coming in and they think like all anime is magical girl anime because they watched Sailor Moon as a kid, so they
Mm.
don't want to watch that. So having a word that represents that concept, that has like all the glitters and all of
Yeah.
all the sparkles and all the
All the
transformations and
girly
all of that.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, having a word that represents that, it's kind of useful when you're starting out, I'd say. And
Mm-hmm.
then afterwards, like after you experience more types of anime, it stops being that important.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I had the same thing at the beginning though. Like, I when I started watching anime, I never wanted to check out like Maho Shoujo because I've seen Sailor Moon and I wasn't really in the mood to like watch something very girly. But then I saw like
Yeah,
Madoka Magica and I was expecting something girly and I was like, oh shit, so this can like turn in different ways. And that's how I learned more about like the genres, how you cannot always trust them. You have to read the subgenres and just the synopsis and all that stuff before you start something, because otherwise you have no idea
yeah.
what you can expect.
So bottom line, they are useful, but you shouldn't trust them completely
Yeah. Well,
because there's a lot of differences.
yeah, and you have to like, well, that's why I read the synopsis always, because I think that helps with the genres and the subgenres, because you can more place it into like the series.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. It's so yeah, basically I think that's it for
Mm-hmm.
today. We already talked for a long time about this. And
Yes.
and if you guys have like some specific questions or stuff, we'll have a live stream today when the video will go up. So
Yeah. Like 4 hours after the video is up at midnight for us. So, well, for me, Central European
yeah.
time, and if I'm not mistaken, 6 p.m. EST. I'm not sure.
Uh
No,
yeah,
yeah, I think it's
I'm
6
not sure
p.m.
if it's EST or UTS, but UTC, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that in the description so you can check it. And it will be on Miana's channel, so you have to check her
Yeah,
channel. And we will update you on Twitter as well, and you can still ask questions with the hashtag Malia. So yeah,
exactly.
beautiful
Okay,
hashtag.
that's it for this week. Oh, what's next week's?
Shit. I always forget our schedule. Oh, this is
It's okay. Next
horrible.
week's a surprise. Let's just roll with it. We know what it is, but you guys don't.
I'm gonna say it's not about anime completely. So I'm just gonna say
Okay.
that.
It's so vague.
Okay, but that's it. We hope to see you tonight in the live stream, and thank you for watching this. And we hope to see you next week as well. So, bye.
Bye bye.